Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Power Within podcast. I know I've been on a couple of weeks break from the podcast, but we're back today and I have a great guest. His name is Rob De Groof. He's one of the best hypnotists in Europe. He's from Belgium. He's not only a hypnotist, he's also a trainer and much more. He's an author as well. So I'm going to bring Rob straight in here. And Rob, it's fantastic to have you on the show. You're very welcome.
Happy to be here.
Great stuff. And so I'd just like to start off by just asking you, how did you get into this field? And can you tell us a little bit about your journey, about your story?
Yeah, it's an interesting story actually, because I used to be in entertainment. I've run an entertainment company for many years, since I was like in my 20s. I used to be in theater before that, and then I started running my own company, more like events. So we were actually, people could book anything from artists at my office actually. And we would deliver it, and I would do gigs myself as a clown, as a magician, as a mentalist, stilt walker, fire spitting, juggler, everything, name it. I learned it to do it because most of the time, like 80% of the time, we were working for children. So we had a lot of I had my own clown show and things like that. So I was working a lot for children, and I wanted to add something to my repertoire. So I had also more programs targeted to an adult audience, because I wanted to have some other experiences, more performing for adults. One of my big issues is that I can't sing, and it's a bit of a frustration in my life. I like to play guitar and I like to sing, but I can't, and I'm really terrible at it. I already convinced two singing teachers that there's no way that you can learn everybody to sing. They were advertising like that, but they had to admit after like 3 weeks, you're that one guy that we can't teach to sing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are not much options left if you want to do something for adults, and you can't sing, so then you can't do like a variety show or something like that. So I always tell in my live presentations, I always tell my audience there were only two options left, or I could become a stripper, or I could become a hypnotist. And then I choose for hypnosis because the career is a bit longer. You can still do it when you're 60 and above. You can do show hypnosis. You can't do stripping anymore then. Maybe for a different audience, but no, that's not on my bucket list. No. So no, I wanted to add hypnosis to my repertoire as an entertainer. So I didn't had any plans to become a therapist. That was not in my mind. And then I started looking around for trainings in Belgium. Didn't find anything really good especially not for entertainment. Also, actually not for therapy. There was nothing at that time in Belgium. And then, like it should happen all the time, I got an email from a shop, a magic shop in the Netherlands. And they announced a presentation from a Dutch, actually a Mexican hypnotist, but he lived in the Netherlands, and he was going to do an evening lecture about hypnosis. So I said, okay, this is what I need. So I went together with a few of my freelance artists to that lecture in the Netherlands. And there I met other hypnotists who were organizing like meetups in Belgium and the Netherlands. So one day it was in the Netherlands, one day it was in Belgium, and it was a gathering of people from both countries interested in hypnosis. And these guys invited me for these gatherings. And then I got in touch with that Mexican guy, of course. He said that he was going to train me to become a show hypnotist. And so I started doing some online trainings, watching DVDs, reading books, things like that. And then all of a sudden, I got a telephone call from one of the guys I met at that meetup, those gatherings. And he said, "Hey, Rob, I bought these DVDs from a guy called Jeffrey Stevens, and this is something for you. It's really no nonsense hypnosis. This is something for you." I said, "Yeah, what is it? Street hypnosis or stage hypnosis?" He said, "No, it's change work." I said, "I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to have people in my office telling their entire life story and all the issues that
Yeah.
they have, all the problems
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and people lying down on the couch." I say, "No, but that's not like that. This is change work. This is no nonsense hypnosis, very short sessions. This is designed for you." I said, "Okay, let me have a look at these DVDs." So I start watching that weekend hypnosis training, as it was called. And after like 1 hour, 2 hours into the training, I had, this is maybe something for me. So I went to my staff at that time, my secretary. I had another guy working for me. And I went to those guys and said, "Okay, I don't want to be disturbed today because I want to finish this training now. So no telephone calls for me, no questions. Write everything down, and I will answer them after the training or tomorrow." And at that time I was like, if I can do sessions like this in a short amount of time, with most of the time only one session, and you can help people, then maybe it's a good idea to offer that as well. Because at that time, and this is something that I tell people a lot in my trainings, especially in my basic training for newbies who I'm trained to become hypnotherapist or hypnotist in Belgium. Um, a lot of people think that hypnosis is going from one training to another, reading a lot of books. We even have a guy in Belgium who say, "Oh, you have to read many books before you can become a hypnotist." I have a total different opinion. For me, hypnosis is doing hypnosis, actually hypnotizing people. You can read many books, you can go to whatever training you want. If you don't see the people, if you don't actually perform hypnosis on people, you will never become a good hypnotist, because you will never have that confidence. So for
Yeah.
me at that time, I already was convinced of that fact. And in Belgium, it's not so easy to have a lot of gigs as a show hypnotist or as a street hypnotist, because we have a few issues there. One issue, it's actually illegal to do entertainment hypnosis in Belgium.
Right. Okay.
But we are real Belgian guys, so we don't care about that, because it's more like a gray zone. It's very because there is something about the hypnosis for, it's called when you put people on stage while they are hypnotized. So it's very gray area. So nobody act on it. So that's not the biggest issue, because I in the past, I was hired by city governments to do street hypnosis on their city festivities and things like that. So nobody knows about that law. Only
Yeah.
hypnotists,
Yeah.
only hypnotists know about. But the biggest issue in Belgium is the languages. So we are a very small country, but still we have 3 official languages. So where is the money for entertainment hypnosis? Corporate, of course. So, but in Belgium,
Yeah.
when you are hired by a corporation to do a show, whether it's for the children, I had it as a clown. They will tell you, "Okay, but yeah, we are a Belgian company, so we have French speakers, we have Dutch speakers. Sometimes they have German speakers, because those are the 3 official languages in Belgium. Most of the people in Belgium speak Dutch. It's like 60-40% with French. But I could do a children entertainment in both languages, but I can't do a hypnosis show in 2 languages. It's crazy.
Yeah.
You have to say everything twice. There is no pace in your show. And I'm not able to hypnotize in French. I can do conversations in French, but I can't hypnotize in French, because, as
Right.
you
Right.
know, hypnosis language is really important. And I'm not
Sure.
trained to do hypnosis in French. I can hypnotize in English, I can hypnotize in Dutch, but not in French. So at that time, I didn't see myself doing a lot of hypnosis on a regular basis when I was only doing entertainment. So I decided to create a little website. So I learned that approach from Jeffrey Stevens, of course. And then I created this little website. And my plan was to do like 3-4 sessions a week maximum. Because
Yeah.
I had my other things going on, of course. So I created this website, and I started to promote, to launch my hypnotherapy business at that time, I started using Google AdWords. But I didn't know that in Belgium, most of the therapists, especially hypnotherapists, were not using any marketing. So I was the only guy using Google AdWords as an advertisement for hypnotherapy. The other thing was that most of the hypnotherapists at that time in Belgium were doing like multi-session programs. So even for stop smoking, most of them were like 3 sessions, 5 sessions for stop smoking.
Wow.
So I came on the market with my 1 session approach, with my very short sessions. And after like 3 months, I had a full-time hypnotherapy business. It was crazy. The phone was going on all the time. My secretary was going mad, because she said, people keep calling me, but you don't have any time left. And I was doing it at my office, at my home, where my entertainment company was. So sometimes there was an artist arriving to collect his clown shoes and his juggling equipment. There were stilts, and there was a client arriving for stop smoking. So it was a mess. It was totally unprofessional at that time, because but yeah, it was just we were actually like a victim of the success. So then I decided to move to a bigger building where I could organize the therapy rooms and everything and things like that. But at that time, I already had close contact with Jeffrey Stevens. He was still alive at that time, of course. And so we start chatting, and then I saw on a Facebook post or something that he was going to Australia for a training. And I said, but why don't you come to Belgium to do a training? I can organize that for you. He said, oh, yeah, good plan. So he came to Belgium and I organized a training for him. And then I had him the year later, I had him a second time in Belgium. And then he told me, I said, Rob, I can't come to Europe every single year. So maybe it's a good idea that I train you to become my trainer in Europe, because you're using this technique on a daily basis. You're using it like full time. So you're a good guy to do those trainings in Europe. So he trained me, and then, yeah, sadly, a few months later, he died. He got diagnosed with liver cancer, and I think like 14 days after the diagnosis, he died. And I still remember that day. It was the 26th of December, and I got a call on my smartphone. It said Jeffrey Stevens. So I said, "Hey, Jeff," and I immediately heard his son voices. I knew his son very good, because he accompanied Jeffrey every time when he was in Belgium.
Right,
and he said,
yeah.
Rob, my father just died 20 minutes ago. And I was like, okay. And Jeremy immediately asked me, he said, Rob, can you promise me something? Because I'm not interested in moving on with this. He was able to do the trainings as well, because he knew the system by heart, of course. But he was like, no, Rob, I'm not a teacher. I want a different career. But promise me one thing. Can you keep his legacy alive? And I said, of course, I will do that. And at that time, I started not only doing trainings in Belgium, but I started traveling around and present on conventions on the Jeffrey Stevens protocol, teach trainings. I did some trainings in different countries, teaching people the Jeffrey Stevens protocol. So that's one of my targets, or my goals in life, is to keep that legacy alive, because it's such a great technique. It's short. It's very short technique, and every time when I do trainings, especially like the UK or something, a lot of these therapists over there are used to do very long sessions, multi sessions for one problem. And sometimes people, after my 2-day training, they say, "Hey, where were you like 15 years ago? Because I'm going to start using this technique immediately." And for me, it's a good thing that was actually the first approach that I got introduced to, because I'm not sure that if I was introduced to all the other techniques that I would still be a therapist at this moment, because this is what I like doing, and this is totally different than what I had in my mind of what is a therapist. So with this
Yeah,
technique, I don't need the history of the client. I don't
sure.
need all the stories. I just can with a few questions I can dive into my session, and we have very good results with that session. And at the time, before COVID, I had 8 hypnotherapists working for me in Belgium. So I'm still seeing clients, but not that often anymore. Not like before, like 5 clients a day, 5 days a week. So I still see clients, but most of the time I'm managing the business actually. Especially when you have a team of therapists. So after COVID, we only had like 4 therapists left, but now we are growing again. So we're going back to we are at 6 now in 3 different cities. We also have the online sessions, of course. So my job is mostly managing the business
Right.
and teaching. So I still do all the trainings in Belgium. The basic trainings like for the newbies, but also master classes. I'm a virtual gastric band trainer. I'm a swan trainer. And I do all these different trainings, of course, and traveling. That's what I love to do.
Sure. And
And
of course,
do
that's
all
where
these
I seen you
different
first
conventions. Yeah, I think so.
at
Yeah,
the Irish Hypnotherapy Conference a couple of months ago.
at the Irish one. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a
Um,
really I really liked that convention. It was a really like very informal, very very familiar. It's like and I sometimes like these smaller conventions more than the very big convention, because at these small conventions you almost meet
mm,
every single person who's there. You will see them
yeah,
somewhere. You don't chat with every single person, of course, but
sure.
you have an idea who's there. Yeah. So that's and it was really really nice,
Sure.
nice convention.
And one of the things that struck me from your presentation at the conference was how simple you keep the work that you do. And would you like to talk a little bit about, I suppose, the
Mm,
subconscious mind? Because, like your method and the simple approach that you take really resonated with me when I seen your presentation, especially in terms of like the perception of the general public to the work that we do, that sometimes they can come along and think we're, a magic wand that we can
yeah.
wave in the air and provide a solution to all their problems. But in actual fact, they must be at a certain threshold and commit to and engage with the process. Because hypnosis, as you know, is a way to give our clients what they want and get rid of what they don't want. It
Yeah.
gives you what you want, not what you don't want. So, coming along and thinking, okay, I'm not going to take any responsibility for this change. I'm going to put it all on the hypnotherapist in front of me is the wrong dynamic. But a
Mm,
lot of hypnotherapists out there kind of go at that over multiple sessions, as you say, and constantly look for a solution when, it can be an uphill struggle if our clients aren't in the right place at the threshold to making that change.
mm,
And the demonstrations you done on the day, you remember you pulled a couple of volunteers from the audience and very quickly had them in a deep
mm,
hypnotic state and connected in with their subconscious. And the transformations can be very quick
mm.
and rapid, because change happens in the moment and it's very direct, talking to the subconscious, and is very, very impressive. So would you like to expand a little bit on that
Yeah.
kind of methodology in the work that you do?
Yeah. So actually the thought of the system that I use most of the time is it's first of all it's direct hypnosis, like you mentioned. We talk directly to the subconscious mind, so like in a third person way. We don't go and dive in to find whatever caused the problem. We're not really interested in that, because we know the subconscious mind know whatever is the issue or what changes are needed to go to the goal. So actually, most of the time, the only information that I have from my clients is in 2 words, what is your issue? In 2 words, what is the goal? And then, of course, I ask a few more questions. And then we dive into the session. So for us, it's most we give actually all the responsibility to the subconscious mind. So we're actually going to tell the subconscious mind, "Hey, you did a great job doing this, whatever it is." So let's say somebody has a fear of flying. Said, "Hey, subconscious mind, yeah, you created this fear of flying. You had the information to do that. So we're not going to tell, hey, you did a bad job, subconscious mind, you can't do this." No, because talking to the subconscious mind is a bit like talking to a bright child of 9. So you have to be clear. You don't have to start getting into you did it wrong or you can't do that anymore. No, just give that bright child of 9 new information. Just say, hey, you did this. You probably had the information to do that, but it's not what we want, or it's not what Vicky wants anymore. Let's imagine the client's name is Vicky and said, hey, that's not what Vicky wants anymore. She needs something else. So she needs to be comfortable and relaxed and have a good feeling when she board the plane, when she's on a trip on a plane, when she looks forward to go on a plane. And that's what we want. So make all the changes needed to reach this goal. And that's actually what we do. So I'm not interested in what happened when Vicky was 3 years old and maybe caused this problem, because we don't need that. And I think I remember Jeffrey Stevens. He used to call regression to cause a crime. I'm not that big on it. I don't need it. I totally understand that people use it in therapy for some issues, but I don't. There's no point in doing regression to cause for stop smoking or for weight loss or for whatever, because you can use this very straight approach with very great results. So, and a lot of time when people see a hypnotherapist, most of the time it's not the first therapist that they are seeing for an issue. So most of the time they went to all these traditional therapies. So they are a lot of them are also a bit tired of repeating that story time after time after time, because they did it for many weeks in a row with a psychotherapist or a psychologist. And they didn't have much results. So now they come to see a hypnotherapist. And if you then start again by okay, tell me your story, tell me what this, then it's the same thing for them.
The same
so
thing.
For me, even if they start telling the story, I always say, okay, no, we don't go there.
Stop.
Stop about that. No, we gonna
stop there.
Stop there. And sometimes you we with my team, it's quite that's the advantage of having a team, of course. When we see in an email that somebody already writes their entire story in the email, that most of the time they will not put that client on my list of clients. I have a few other therapists, mostly the female ones, who are more into like, okay, but in my mind, it's not needed. I don't need that story. And as you said before, my goal is to keep hypnosis simple. That's also the subtitle of my book. It's The Art of Simple Hypnosis. And actually, I got that subtitle from a guy from the UK. He has trainings, and that's The Art of Simple Golf. And I was like, okay. Because I'm a golf player, and I signed up for his library a few years ago, and I said, actually, that's what I want to teach: the art of simple hypnosis, and not only on the therapy level. I want to keep everything as simple as possible. And one of the things that I talk a lot about at conventions is that I don't do pre-talks anymore, because a lot of people, they of course you need a good pre-talk, because when a client is not well prepared, you will have a bad session. But I still do pre-talks, but not in a therapy room. So the moment the client books an appointment with us, they will get an email, and in that email, they can watch a video. They can select which therapist that they have a session with, and then they watch a video. And in that video, we actually do the pre-talk. So the big advantage of this is that your client will be better prepared, because now they have all that information already like 2 weeks before the session. They can rewatch it because they get another email like 2 days before the session. Hey, remember you have a session with us.
Yes.
Make sure that you have watched the video before you come to the hypnosis center, and things like that. So what I experienced is when I did the pre-talk in the therapy room, there were two things. I was getting tired of doing that every single time, 5 times a day, and you're not gonna be asleep, and you can hear me, and you can keep thinking, and you should, yeah. So I was really, and the problem is we're all human, so we start skipping things because in our mind it's obvious, and so. But now, and what I experienced a lot was that you do that pre-talk, and then like 10 minutes later you do your session. And after the session, they open their eyes and they say, oh, I could hear everything. Is that normal? I just explained that like 20 minutes ago, but the information didn't have time to process. So what I want to do is I send it up front. They got the information have time to be processed. They can rewatch your video. They can ask questions whenever they have a question before the session. But since I'm doing this approach, I don't have people asking me after the session, was I really hypnotized? Because I could hear everything.
Right.
I could keep thinking. I was,
It's a good idea.
because they know they are much better prepared, and it makes your life in the therapy room much simpler.
Yeah.
Of course, it will shorten again your amount of time that people are inside your therapy room, because that's something that when I am at the moment I'm in Bulgaria, because I live half time here in Bulgaria. So at the moment I only see my clients online. And when I work with a client, especially an online session, because you don't have that time that you lose, that they have to enter and take a seat and everything like that, and go to the toilet, whatever. So I mostly the full time of the online session is around 35 minutes, because my sessions are like 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes is if I use some extra techniques. They already.
How long is your video, Rob, that you send?
The video is 5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes video. For the online sessions, I have an extra video. It's more like, how do you prepare for a good online session? It's actually a video that I have for sale. I created it during the pandemic because a lot of people were pivoting their business to online, of course. So I created that video, and other therapists can buy that video, and we have the logo on there. So it's a very informative video on how to prepare yourself for a good online session. And then people are prepared. So the online session clients, they watch 2 videos. So the general pre-talk and the one for the online. For the online, it's only like 1 minute and a half. It's very, very brief, but very, very clear how they must prepare themselves. Because a lot of time you start an online session and you see that they're not prepared. So they have the laptop on their lap, like a laptop should be on your lap.
And I'm sure it helps.
But that's not what you want for an online session. When you have like a real somnambulist, and he totally collapses on his laptop. No, you don't want that. So no. You want clear view. So these are a few of the things that are really important to. And I think it's much better to prepare your clients up front. The better they are prepared, the better subjects they will become. The better they will get hypnotized. The better results you will have.
And I'm sure it filters out then people who aren't kind of ready for the change, or
that's a different thing, of course. That's something that you probably remember at my presentation in Dublin, I pointed all attention on my wife who was in the back of
I
the room.
remember actually. Yeah.
Yeah, she doesn't like that, but I always
Yeah.
do. No, and I wrote about that in my book as well. I tell my clients a lot of the time. Yesterday, we played a golf competition here. It was like a match between UK expats in Dubai and expats here in Bulgaria, and we played together. And of course, most of the time people start talking about hypnosis, especially the golf course, because I do hypnosis for golf players as well. And there were some smokers and things like that, and I always give the example that my wife is a smoker. So I fly all around the world to teach people how to do stop smoking sessions. That's one of a big part in my training. But my wife is a smoker, and I don't hide it. I tell it to my clients as well. So sometimes when I see a stop smoking client and I feel that the client is like it's not 100% ready, I give the example of my wife. I said, okay, I'm an expert in stop smoking, but my wife is a smoker. And then you see people like, huh, this is strange. Say, no,
Yeah.
it's not strange, because she's a person with an own will. She can decide for herself that she wants to be a smoker or not. The moment she doesn't want to be a smoker anymore, I can help her in like 2 minutes, because my wife is a super somnambulist. I don't need all the old protocol. I can just tell her subconscious mind, hey, she's a non-smoker now. Things are,
Yeah.
it's done. Job done. Job done. You don't
Job
need
done.
much. But the first thing that you need is you need to have a conflict between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. And that's the only thing that we solve. So the moment my wife says, okay, I want to be a non-smoker, but my subconscious mind is still programmed as a smoker, then we have a conflict. At the moment, she wants to be a smoker, so there is no conflict. So you can't do a session. So as long as she doesn't want to change, there is no conflict. And that's something that's really important, because you can be the best therapist in the world.
Sure.
If the client doesn't want to change or is not ready for the change, then there's no point in doing a session, because that's not your job. Your job is, the moment there is an issue between the conscious and the subconscious mind, we are going to solve it by putting these two levels on the same level. Like
I'm sure you hear I get it asked frequently, can you help me? Can you help me? Are you sure you can help me? And I always put that back on my clients. You need to help yourself as well.
Yeah.
It's a very powerful and amazing process that we provide, to transform your life. But you must commit to it. You must engage with it. It's not a passive process. It's not something that you can come and you can, because there are people out there that like to play the victim, that like to remain stuck.
Yeah, the moment people start talking about my problem and my pain and my depression, then they are still keeping on the problem a bit. So that's or when they say, oh, I probably need 3 sessions because my problem is really big. Then it's okay. There is some okay. They want to have a big problem. They don't want to have a small problem. They like a big problem. So sometimes it's a bit like that. I see it with myself. I've worked with myself a lot. I mostly I create my own recordings. I've been my own therapist, because I don't trust other hypnotherapists. No, that's not really true. No, my issue with being hypnotized by another hypnotherapist is when they are trained by me, I will analyze what they are saying. Like, okay, I have to tell him no. Next time I have to tell him that he has to do it this way or this way. So I'm analyzing what they're doing, and if I'm hypnotized by somebody who's not trained by me, who's using a total different approach, I start analyzing that approach because I'm interested in what he's doing. So So I make my own recordings. It's much I can better let go when I have my own recordings, because I know what's on the recording. I don't have to analyze it anymore.
Sure.
That's why I've been my own therapist.
Does the simple art of hypnosis apply to Everyone, I mean, for example, if an individual suffered a lot of trauma in childhood and, were experiencing a lot of anxiety and stress in their life, would that need more than one session? Or would you be able to make that transformation quickly for them?
My way of thinking is most of the time I only need one session. So only for we have a few programs. We have like virtual gastric band is a program. I have my hypnosis for golfers. That's most of the time these are multiple sessions. But that's more because of I want to see the clients. I want to get the feedback of when they were on the golf course. With weight loss also, the thing with weight loss is they don't leave your therapy room with another weight. So
Yeah.
when I have somebody with stop smoking, they leave my therapy room as a non-smoker, and they will know it quite fast that they are non-smokers. But with weight loss, you don't have that. Sometimes people expect that they go outside your sometimes
Yeah.
it's like you say, some people think that you really have an actual magic wand, and
Yeah.
then but that's not what's happening, of course. So
Sure.
for these things, when the result is not immediately, I sometimes tend to go for multiple sessions now, because and most of the time it's not that I need that second session, but it's more that I want to reassure the client, because sometimes, especially for weight loss, and especially women have it more than male clients. They want the result faster than it's possible sometimes, and because they're used to do diets and things like that. Because, as I already said, the same for weight loss. When they come to a hypnotherapist, it's not the first thing that they are trying. They did all the diets, they did
Yeah.
all the different programs. They
For
spend
last
already a
resort.
lot of money on weight loss,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then finally they come and see a hypnotherapist. So with these diets, of course, they have like immediate result, because they start the diet and they will start losing weight immediately. With hypnosis, it's not always the case, because it depends a bit on what approach that you're using. When you use the direct approach, the Jeffrey Stevens approach, you will really give the subconscious mind time to make the changes, and then of course it can take like 2-3 weeks before they lose weight. But most of those women, you will tell that in the therapy room. They will say, "Oh yeah, no issue," and 1 week later they send you a message, "No change yet." I say, "Okay, but
Yeah.
that's not."
Yeah.
Or they send you a message, "No change yet," and then you start asking some questions, and then they say, "Oh yeah, but there is I can see that I'm eating different. I'm moving more. I drink more water." But they of course mean the change is not yet visible on the scale, and that's what they call no change yet. There is change. The subconscious mind is already doing the job. But the problem is, if you don't see them again, then they will just go along with their life, and they say, "Oh, this didn't work," and they start doing something else. They start doing another diet. And then the subconscious mind can't do the job anymore, because you need to give the subconscious mind some time to create the changes, to point that client into the right direction, to give nudges whenever they want to try to grab like some sweets or something. But if the client doesn't let the subconscious mind do the job, then of course there is no result. So sometimes then it's good that you see the client like after 1 week, and you can have a chat with the client, and then they will understand that the change is already there. So for some issues, it might be better to do like an extra session or a follow-up session. It can be a short online thing that you just have a chat with your client, something like that. But in my opinion, every single issue is doable in one session. You can because of course it's not, you will not have a 100% success rate, but there's no way, there's no approach that will guarantee a 100% success rate. So there will always be clients who need more. But we at the hypnosis center, we are not like, okay, for this you need 2 sessions, for this you need 3 sessions. No, we will see a client come for the first session, and if the therapist has like the feeling that there is more needed, or sometimes there are multiple issues that need to be addressed, so then we will inform the client, hey, maybe you need a follow-up session, or maybe you need or contact me again if you want to work on this thing. But in my mind, most of the things can be resolved in one single session.
Sure, sure. But then, it is down to the client to have that belief, that, that expectancy for the change as well, other than, being passive about it and playing the victim, and then coming in, if there is a second session, and going, oh,
Yeah.
no change, didn't work, So
Yeah, but the problem there is clients are very often, they say there's no change, and then you start, and then if you as a therapist say, okay, no change, let's do a different approach. But if you stop asking questions at that time, then then you will not get all the information. If you ask questions like, okay, but what did you experience? And then they will come with, yeah, I felt that there was some change in my attitude. There is some change in this. There is change. There is always some change. But yeah, sometimes for the client, the end result is not there yet. But that's something else. Then there is no change. The goal is not reached yet, but there is change. And that's
yeah,
so you need to ask, especially in these follow-up sessions, you need to ask a bit more questions when they just arrive and say there is no change. I had it once with virtual gastric band client. He came in for the second session, and he was already he didn't sit down on his chair yet, and he was saying, oh yeah, nothing changed yet, and I had other expectations of this. And I say, okay, take a seat, we will go over it. And then I started asking some questions, and I said, did you listen to your recording on a daily basis? Because that's one of the big things in that program. And he said, no, I didn't have time yet to put it on my iPad. I said,
yeah,
okay, so yeah, you can drive home now. And he was like, oh, no second session. I said, no. How can I do how can I get feedback if you didn't follow the program? So I need you to follow the program, and then I will make my evaluation, and then I can do my second session. But if you don't listen to the recording on a regular basis, and for me, it's not about that we need that recording on a regular basis. It's just the client not following my rules. And that's what I don't like. That guy, he was not short of money, and he just paid the second most expensive program, and he thought that paying the program would do the job. So he didn't put in the effort. And
sure,
for
sure.
me, it's not, because most of the clients, they don't need to listen to that recording on a regular basis. But if he told me, oh yeah, I listened to it, but not every day, only like 3-4 times, okay, no worries. But like just being so nonchalant and just say, oh, I didn't have time to put it on my iPad, that's a big red
Sure,
flag for me.
sure. One of
Then
the
I
things that I
want to
really, yeah,
actually punish my client by sending him home again and come back when you follow
right,
the
right,
program.
right. One of the things that I really like about the work that you do, I know I said I seen you in action a couple of months ago, because like when I seen you, actually, it did resonate with me a lot, because I'm doing this work. I have a practice here in Waterford in Ireland for nearly 15 years now. And I train with the NGH. You may have heard of the National Guild of Hypnotists in America. And, for the first couple of years, I was like old school kind of hypnosis, using scripts, especially in the beginning, I suppose, and doing the pre-talks and all of that. But I was finding as time went on that it was really draining my energy. And in the end, I could only see maybe 4 clients a day. And I remember going home, Devon, and I'd be totally wiped out. Like the energy will be just drained because it's very mentally draining work. Especially as you said, the pre-talk after pre-talk, like you might
Yeah.
put in the effort 20, 30 minutes each time. And you mentioned your wife earlier on, but I have to mention mine as well, because one of the things that I've learned over the years is that, you can do, as you said, like all these different training courses and different conferences. I know, it's good to have an insight into different ways of working, and what works for one hypnotherapist might not work for another. Whatever works best for you is good. But you know, like as I gained experience over the years, I found like that one of the most important things, as my wife kept pointing out, who knows nothing really about hypnosis, but would always point out that whatever you do, keep it simple. Keep it simple, because there's all these strategies out there, and it's like a carpenter with a toolbox with all the, you have a toolbox full of different strategies, but you can't use them all, and you have to just keep it simple, and just focus in on each client in front of you, and doing the work in a way that is right for you, and keeping it simple. Because you can get hung up on doing this strategy and that strategy, and I find myself that no matter what strategy that you use, that if you don't believe in it, if you don't have confidence in it yourself doing it, it's not going to be effective.
No.
And so, like, keeping it simple is something that I've learned over the years. In actual fact, when I seen you a few months ago, it was very kind of similar to the work that I do here in my office, without reading your book, it was like a conclusion like that I came to, like my journey, my road had led me to already. So, I have taken a break, from a mid-season break from this podcast, but when I wanted to return here, you were the first person that came to mind, because I said, I really want to get Rob on, have a chat about the work that you do. You keep it so simple, and I love that approach. So thanks for your work. And you've written a book, I suppose, as well, on the work that you do. Would you like to?
The book is called Stop It. Actually, do I have a copy here that I can show? Yeah, this is a Dutch copy, but it's like this. So it's Stop It, and it's called The Art of Simple Hypnosis. It's on Amazon. It's in English. We have an English and a Dutch version. This is actually in this book, I go over all my tips and tricks and the way that I think about hypnosis, but not only about the therapy part of it, but also the business part of it. And also there, I want to keep things as simple as possible. I already explained the pre-talk video, but there are other things that I think it's really important that it's as simple as possible. At the moment, I'm totally rebuilding my appointment system. Because I don't like the way it is now. There are a few steps that I want to make more simple, because at the moment people they are so used to do things online, book things online, and sometimes they only want one button and that's it, and then we have the appointment. Because people have, in Belgium, I call it, we are, I use a different company name, but it's not, it's a specific Belgium and Netherlands thing. It's Coolblue. It's like Amazon. So you order something, and the day, even you can have it at this time, you can even have it on the same day. It's crazy. But people get used to that. People are more like, I tell my therapist, my team of therapists all the time, when people have a question about an issue, they might have had that issue for 15 years, but the moment they decide they want to get rid of the issue, they want an answer the same day, preferably. So I always tell my students, the moment, and my students as well, and my therapist in my team, obviously, is that the moment we get questions in, the sooner we can go back to that client, then, because people are just on the internet, especially when they don't have a referral, they just want to go to a hypnotherapist or whatever therapist that they are looking for. And when you as a therapist don't have time to answer all your questions, and it takes you a week to answer a question, you will lose so many clients. So one of the things that we do, we work with a telephone service. So our telephone is answered all the time on office hours. So it's an external service that picks up our phone that says hello with Hypnosis Center. I even never sold these people, but they do a good job. And they can book like free strategy telephone calls with my team members. So when somebody has a question, they will say, okay, I can't answer that question, I'm not a therapist, but I can book you a free video call, a call. It's not with me, it's video calls. With my team members, it's most like telephone calls. So at that time, the therapist will call you and you can ask all the questions. At that time, the moment the person stops the telephone talk or goes offline, he is like, okay, it even might be in 1 week the call, but it doesn't matter because they have an appointment now for something. They don't have to keep on searching on the internet for a therapist that will answer the question right away, because in their mind, the question will be answered on next Tuesday or something. And that's something, those are all these things that I because I think one of the biggest issue at the moment is, and I know, and it was the same at the Irish Hypnotherapy conference. It is one of the things that John mentioned as well. At a certain time in that convention, there was in one room, there was I think it was Sean Michael Andrews doing instant inductions. And in another room, there was, I think Stephen was doing there something about marketing. Most of the people were in that induction training, of course. And that's a good thing because instant inductions are really important, but marketing is also really important. And most of the therapists were not interested in that marketing part of the convention at that time.
That's a whole different podcast. We could spend another hour talking about marketing.
Yeah, of course.
Because it is an area that we do neglect.
Yeah.
Because the work that we do, I know we love it so much doing it, that when we're in like working with, whether it be just one-to-one clients or training, it's great. But it's, that's the part I find really challenging, especially in the world we live in, social media, to constantly get yourself out there and the different, platforms, Facebook, Instagrams, TikTok.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and it can be draining, doing that. But I think that the approach that you use for me really is important, because it allows me to get the best out of myself in terms of the work I'm doing. Because the simpler I'm keeping it, and the more focused, concentrated energy I'm doing for each individual client, the better. Because, as I mentioned, like when I started off doing this, you might have a client first thing in the morning, and you're fresh first thing in the morning, and it's great, and you're great to go. But by the end of the evening, the last client coming in, you're kind of waning, maybe you're winging it a bit. And it's not always easy, because, we are only human ourselves. And it's important that we take care of ourselves and make sure we're giving ourselves time to kind of press the reset button between each client, because not only for ourselves, but for our clients as well. Because it's very important in terms of like the ethics of the work we do, to provide the same dedication to the first client as the fourth or fifth
as to the last client of the day. That's one of the things that the big difference in myself as being an entertainer or myself as being a therapist. When I did entertainment, I never canceled a gig. Even when I was sick as hell, I was on stage because the show must go on. When I do therapy, the moment I don't feel good in the morning, I will cancel my sessions because I want to give my client a full attention with a full amount of energy. Because especially the way that I do sessions, they are short, but I put a lot of energy in it. When I'm not 100% fit, I can't do that. I'm not really. I will not have the same energy that I can put in that session. That's why I think it's really important that I never a lot of my students, they ask me, what if a client asks if you can guarantee a result? I say I never guarantee a result, but I can guarantee that I will put all my effort in to get the result.
I say exactly the same, actually.
Yeah, don't
Yeah.
guarantee the result,
Yeah.
but put all your effort. And of course, if you still do these very long sessions, and if you still use these long inductions, like these relaxation inductions to get people hypnotized, that will drain your energy. It will, if you have to do that 5 times a day, do like a 20-minute induction, then you will totally be in trance. Not your client, but you will
Sure.
totally be, at the end of
Absolutely.
the day,
Absolutely.
you can
Well, Rob,
barely.
it's great having you on. I just have one eye in the time, and you know, you're
Oh
a
yeah,
gentleman. The time has flown. Time
yeah.
flies when you're having fun. Yeah. So we've had a fantastic discussion, and I've really enjoyed listening to your wisdom. And something that I asked all my guests that come on the show is that have you any parting words of wisdom? I know that you've given us a lot already, but if you have anything that you would like to leave us with here today?
Oh, when it's aimed to therapists, I would say keep it as simple as possible, and be sure that you're doing that. One of the things that I see is that people are trying to copy other hypnotherapists. So do some trainings and then make it your own. Make it your own way. Don't even if you do a training with me, or you will see the difference between me and Jeffrey Stevens. So make it your own, and you can only be good when it's your own. When you put yourself in the way that you do therapy. So adapt every single tool every single approach that you learn, adapt it to yourself, so that it's eventually your own way of doing therapy, and that will resonate best with you, and then it will be most effective for the clients. And for maybe non-therapists who are watching this or listening to this podcast, yeah, don't wait too long to get the change, but be ready for the change. Be sure that you're ready to get the change, and then find a good hypnotherapist in your area, go there. But as you already mentioned, they don't have a magic wand, so be ready for the change, and then the change will occur.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Rob, thanks very much for your time. I really
You're
appreciate it.
welcome.
Thanks for coming on the
I
Power
really
Within
enjoyed it.
podcast. Really enjoyed talking to you.
Bye-bye.
So keep up the great work that you're doing and keep in touch.
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
So,
Thank you very
okay,
much.
folks. So time to bring another episode of the Power Within podcast to a conclusion. Hope you've enjoyed today's discussion with the amazing Rob De Groof. He's brilliant. So, it's been a great show. I've really enjoyed talking to Rob here today. So listen, until the next episode of the podcast, until next time, be good to yourself, take care, and we'll see you all again soon. Take care, folks.